thank you so much for having me. My name is Isabel Tarling. I run a company called Lemina Education Services. What we do, we work with learners in all sorts of spaces, but we specifically use the definition of learners as lifelong learners that the UN has developed as part of its sustainability program. And so for us, our goal is by 2035 to have reached 10 million learners in all the different courses, all the different projects that we work on. So for us, a learner isn't, in South Africa, we often think of learners as children who go to school, but for us, it's the whole village are learners, and we look at how everybody in the village can learn and reimagine how they can learn, and give them a reimagined image of how they can learn. So it's not about you have to learn this knowledge in this way going forward, but it's very much, how do you like learning? What do you like doing differently? How can we together reimagine it? And then the second part of our vision is very much about enabling change. So while we reimagine learning, we're also very much around the person being able to take charge of their own learning journey, and how do they want to go forward? How do they want to change in their own context, and be it in a TVET context, be it in a whatever context the learning is taking place at, is what can we do to enable them to change what they want to do in their lives. So it's very much it's a big, hairy, scary vision around learning, but our company's whole emphasis is on reimagine learning and enabling change in 10 million learners by 2035. We've used AI a lot to streamline processes, but I am by no means an expert in it. We only use it so I can explain what we do to make our lives simpler. So one of our companies, we've got 3 goals in our company. The one is the learning design section. The second is the workshop and courses section, where we present workshops, where we work with our own content to support learning. And then the third is with research. So where we go and we research learning happening in different spaces. So one of our, we often do monitoring and evaluations of learning for big clients who get funding, etc. So we use AI in those spaces to help us to do literature reviews. We use Chat PDF. So we'll ask the same type of questions of 40 different readings, and then take a summary of those questions, which works really well for us. Maybe that's just an entry level, but to have a tool that you can say, here's a whole article, give me the top key negatives in this article, or the summary of that. It's just so much simpler, so much faster. And then what we often do is, if we find with the AI, it's like a very big sieve for us. So it highlights, this is an article you want to read, or rather than us scanning every single one on our own, for me to ask one of our research assistants to go and scan through them, get me the summaries, and I can read the summaries, I can go, oh, this is brilliant, I can go and do that. So it really helps to speed up the process at which you can identify the articles you really want to look at, but also of AI. But we definitely use AI in that space. We use Chat AI a lot when we've got a text to write, especially when the text is in another language and we want to write it in for example, English or whatever it is, to translate it for us. So a lot of our communication happens from Germany, Portugal, and a lot of Francophone Africa. So AI really helps us a lot to understand what is actually being said in all the different spaces. I think the hard part for us is not having French native speakers in the company, and working a lot in Francophone Africa. So AI really helps us a lot with that. But then also when we're working in, for example, Moodle, and we want to code to do something in Moodle, I can't imagine. Oh, you know, when you're in Moodle and you want to create a banner, a header or something, and you need the right code for it, then we get AI to help us to write that code rather than trying to refigure out why it's working. Or if you want to put an iframe into a document, you get the right iframe code, and then it still doesn't want to work, and then you go and ask AI, how do we fix this? So when we've looked at, we use, for example, Google Meets, and it transcribes all our interviews, which is really useful because then you can have AI come along and help you to identify from all the interviews, this is what we found, this is what we're using, these are the key takeaways. And now I can go and, instead of having to go through the whole analysis process of emergent coding and rereading, I'm already, I put the transcripts of interviews through AI, and I can already start seeing, oh, here's some lovely codes that I can use. Now I still do emergent coding, but I've got some tools in my pocket already that help me to identify where I'm going. So it's never replacing, but it's enhancing what we're doing. The speed at which it takes, you know, when I was doing my literature review for my PhD, I'm sure you remember, it took forever to read all those documents, and then to have summaries of all the documents, and then to analyze the summaries that you made, to now have this tool that can give you, and obviously we don't use it as is. I did a workshop on e-assessment earlier in the year, and just showing the lecturers how you can use it to generate multiple choice questions and responses. And they were like, oh my gosh, this is so much better than I could ever do. And one of the things that they found very interesting is putting in the question, getting the answers, and looking at the kind of answers that you get to then improve on that, so that you want a higher order question. You don't just want your lower order questions. So asking AI to help you to make this into a higher order question, that was so much better. And then I saw, as they were working with AI, they started, it's like a mind shift started happening, because very often trying to explain to lecturers, when you do questions, you need to work with the higher order questions. You can give them taxonomies till you're blue in the face. It doesn't always happen. But when they start seeing how AI is doing it, then they've got, oh, I got the penny, I found the penny, it's dropped. And now they start doing their own, and they become, so it's a tool to enhance assessment as well. When we've had scenarios, we've had AI develop the scenarios for us. The pedagogical knowledge of educators in Africa, in schools, in TVET colleges, that pedagogical knowledge, there's lots of space for learning and improvement. So when you look at MCQs or multiple choice questions, you need to have a very good grasp of the pedagogy around what you're teaching, so that when you develop your MCQs, you're already going to say, I'm applying this pedagogy to answer this, or to ask this question. And when your pedagogy is still being developed, it's one of those things that you're not always 100% sure of, how can I phrase this question to get the right kind of answers and to test what I'm actually asking. So although AI is not giving us all the questions we want, although AI is not giving us the right quality, it's laying some footsteps to say, okay, I didn't think of that, this is how I can rephrase it. Or if I don't have the right pedagogy, let's say my principal put me into teaching geography, and I never studied geography, I don't know what it is, I'm just following the textbook. All of a sudden, AI is giving me a kind of question to ask, and it helps me to think a little bit deeper about what it is. So my pedagogical knowledge might not be perfect, but I do have a tool that can help me a little bit further along the line to think differently around the question I'm asking. I think that there's always been this dichotomy whenever new tools come on the market. Do you know when radio came on the market? Everybody was going, teachers will be obsolete because everyone will just listen to learning on the radio. Well, people listen to learning on the radio, but teachers haven't become obsolete. I think AI is one of those things that's in 10 years' time, we're going to look back and we're going to go, oh my gosh, the hype cycle, and what can we do and how can we maximize what AI can do? I don't think AI will ever replace a great learning designer, but AI should replace bad learning design. And if AI can take that PDF, you know, the courses where you just have a PDF on the screen and you have someone sitting droning on at a camera for, for 6 hours. AI should replace that. If we can, we should. But the really good learning designers, the ones that apply the theory around learning, that reimagine learning, AI can't imagine what it can't imagine. It can only use what is already in the world. So we have, as learning designers, we can inspire people with learning. We can inspire people to love learning, and not just be a robot that repurposes the same content in another flashing colors and bright lights and fonts, but as human beings, our unique ability to reimagine what we're doing, to reimagine learning, that's what makes us unique. And that's what AI can't ever, well, maybe there's some bot sitting somewhere going, I can write music and I can paint, but they can't really, AI cannot imagine something incredible to inspire a whole group of people to make the world a better place. And that's what learning designers can do. And we shouldn't be afraid of it. And also, you know, in a TVET sector, AI is not going to fix your toilet when it's overflowing, and it's not going to make your car go when the gasket has blown. The TVET sector to me is one of the most important and powerful sectors in the world, because AI, a lot of the jobs in TVET you cannot do with AI. So yeah, I think TVET is a little bit safer than other spaces. Encouraging her to, it's been really important for me to encourage her to get a foundational knowledge about learning design. So she's done a lot of courses, really, really good courses, really, really bad courses. And then she can talk to me about it and having a sounding board about, oh, this was a brilliant one, and oof. Gosh, or we did this in the workshop and now it's in the course, and she gets so excited about that. So very much getting a grip of doing lots and lots and lots of short courses. I think that's really useful. And go on Udemy, go on all those, you know, those cheap and nasty ones that you go in for 6 hours, you learn and you see. Because I don't think learning design is for everybody. I think what often happens is it's a new field, or not relatively new field, and now everybody who can type is thinking, I can be a learning designer. And so one of the things I keep on saying is, go and do many different courses, see what it's about, understand what they actually want as a learning designer, and then if it really grapples you, go and study it. Go and do a proper course at a proper university that is affiliated, that is accredited. Do proper and get some proper degree or diploma or something behind your name, so that it's not just a fly-by-night that says, you know, I can type, therefore I'm a learning designer. And also, when you do learning design, focus on the learning that happens. Very often it becomes we get so bogged down with the flashy things that come flying in, and flip this and click this and this button and add that into action. It's about the learning that needs to happen. And sometimes learning doesn't need to be in rainbow colors with bombs going off in the background, but like, you know, those confetti bombs, not bad bombs. But sometimes we always have to look at the learning, and how do I make learning better through my design work. And that's where the foundational knowledge comes in. And having a proper course that you've done that's taught you that foundational knowledge, that's important. So that when the person doing your course is doing it, they're not just sitting, clicking to get through it, but they're actually going, oh my word, this is so amazing. It's really about the learning that's happening and not about the flashiness and the extraness. And so yeah, those are the three things. Do lots of courses before you decide this is for you. Go and get a proper course, a proper foundation, and very much focus on the learning. And how can you design so that the learning that happens even through content, even through assessments in different ways. How can you get the student to learn in ways that they are comfortable with learning? But I do feel, you know, learning is so inspirational. And as a learning designer, we really have the most incredible job to inspire people to learn, and to just see it as putting pretty pictures on a screen and making an interesting video, you know, that's got wow factor. It's doing such disservice to what learning can be. And if we want to inspire people to learn, our job should be, how can I know as much as I possibly can about the learning process? How can I empower myself to understand that if I do this, someone who's blind, someone who is deaf, someone who has any sort of ADHD is going to react differently on a screen, and the learning will be different for them than for someone else. And how can I maximize the learning so that everybody gets inspired to learn, and not just your neurotypical, atypical person. But I think that just inspiring learning through learning design to me is the most important thing.